Go to number 5 on the starting 5. Bills general manager Brandon Beane says the team shut down trade interest in receiver Keon Coleman multiple times this offseason. His intention is to keep Coleman despite 2 inconsistent seasons in Buffalo, and owner Terry Bagula is saying that fired coach Sean McDermott pushed to draft Coleman, not Beane. It's one of those interesting NFL stories we've been following as we bring in our NFL insider, Adam Schefter. Shefty, good seeing you. So many stories with receivers entering the offseason, potential trade destinations, this, that, and the other. Give us the latest on some of these receivers, starting with Brandon Ayuk.
Listen, the 49ers have put up a for sale sign. They would trade him for whatever they could get back in return. And they're going to hold on to him until they feel like they can get something back for the time being. Everybody knows he won't be in San Francisco next year. There have been other teams that have had some level of interest. They've had a tough time reaching Brandon Ayuk, and the 49ers are determined to try to get something back for a player that they signed to a lucrative multi-year extension. Meanwhile, in Dallas, George Pickens was planning to sign that franchise tender on Thursday, but he still has not signed it yet. And until he does, he is not obligated to be with the team. And until he does, the team cannot trade him. He'd have to sign that franchise tender to be able to be traded, which he has not done yet. I'm told he didn't sign it over the weekend just out of the busyness of the draft. And in the interim, the Cowboys have gone ahead and signed 2 veteran wide receivers, Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, we were talking about it at the draft, the day that news broke that he would sign the franchise tender. Then we get here today, we're like, wait, did he ever sign it? Shefty clarifies the answer to that is no. Adam Schefter, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. 5 p.m. Sports Center still ahead on the happy hour edition. It's like final exams are over and everybody rushes to the bulletin board to see their grades. Probably an app. There's no bulletin boards anymore. The 2026 NFL Draft is in the books. Experts are weighing in on how teams did. The Ty Simpson pick definitely is going to affect the Rams' grade. So how about the Cards taking a running back at 3? These are all being discussed. Kiper's best grade was an A, with his worst teams receiving a C. The Browns and Cowboys used multiple first-round picks to fill major holes. The Raiders also earned an A with great picks later in the draft. Falling short, Niners, Jags, Vikings all reached in this year's draft. There's the report card. Here's the reaction in our Take 2.
The Cleveland Browns, you have to give it up. Again, what they did in this draft.
I said, wait a minute. Is this not the same old stinky Jets here?
Yeah. I don't know.
Is this a brand new jet engine plane happening over there?
I love the Ravens. They got 8 picks on day 3. We'll see what they'll make of that. I love the first round choice of Venga Ioane.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
Like, what a good draft. What a good offseason, right? Everything that they've done to put the insulation around Fernando Mendoza.
When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they address a couple key positions on that defense.
The Colts had a great one. They also got Deion Burks with their last pick, who's a great wide receiver.
Arbel Reese, unbelievably athletic and talented player. Francis Mauigoa, the big tackle from Miami. I love the fact that they've rebuilt this offensive line.
Howie Roseman's a madman as far as manipulating the draft board. I thought he played chess very well this weekend.
Some usual suspects getting A's, some unusual suspects getting A's as well, as our usual star, Mina Kimes, with us. Now, Mina, I'm not going to make you give grades. I just want some of your superlatives and thoughts on the draft. Give us your favorite pick of this draft.
Well, my favorite pick belongs to a team that did get an A from Mel Kiper. That's the Dallas Cowboys, taking Caleb Downs, the Ohio State safety. Not just because of the talent of the player, such a high floor prospect, by the way, not just because of the value where they got him, but also because of where I think this defense is going under their new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, coming over from Philadelphia, where he worked with Vic Fangio. I think we're going to see a lot of similar principles, showing 2 high safeties and then rotating to 1 and vice versa. And I think Downs' versatility and intelligence will become incredibly useful in that regard. He's also exceptional against the run. Look to them to use him as a blitzer and play him in the slot. Kid can do everything, and as we all know from watching Dallas's defense last year, they need everything.
I thought for sure that this guy would be your guaranteed star in Caleb Downs, so you threw me a good curveball out of the gate. So if Caleb's not it, which I think we all believe he's going to be a surefire star, give me your guaranteed pick of a player that got drafted that will be a star in the NFL.
I'm going to stick with the secondary, but I'm going to go with the first cornerback off the board, Mansour Delane, in part because I think where he landed, Kansas City, perfect spot for his skill set. I know folks were a little bit surprised that the Chiefs traded up for him, given that they've been able to find corners later in the draft who've been excellent. But I do think Steve Spagnuolo probably watched his college tape and thought, I have to have him. He is so complete as a player. He also very high floor, in my opinion. I loved his press man reps. We know Spagnuolo likes to play a lot of man coverage. He's a very good tackler as well. I just think he's going to come into the NFL and be impactful immediately on, of course, what we expect to be a playoff team in Kansas City.
Yeah, you and I had talked about that on the ride over. Did they need to trade up to 6 when he's probably going to be there at 9? Either way, they got their guy. Delane played 2 seasons at Virginia Tech before transferring to LSU. And, oh, by the way, an All-American and All-SEC in 25. He made the most of it. So did Mina. Mina, great stuff. Thank you. Let's go back. Draft is done. Mel Kiper Jr.'s grades are in. If you were on this list, congratulations. You have aced the test. Eagles, Raiders, Cowboys, maybe the Browns, the most surprising to get an A. Actually, let's be fair. Raiders surprising to get an A as well. They're always picking up the top of the draft. If they drafted so well, they wouldn't be getting
That's
A's.
a good point.
All right. Mel Kiper and Damian Woody are here with us. Mel, we just saw who you gave an A to. There was 4 of them this year. Which of those teams intrigues you the most and why?
Dallas Cowboys, Matt and Damien, you look at what they were able to do. A new defense was going to be the focal point, right? It couldn't stop anybody. 9 games last year allowed 30 or more points. So 5 of 7 picks on the defensive side of the ball, led by the culture changer. That is Caleb Downs, that versatile piece in that defensive secondary that the Dallas Cowboys desperately needed. And they were able to get him by going up from 12 to 11. Very fortunate he was even on the board at that point to be able to acquire. And they get Malachi Lawrence by trading down with the Eagles, an edge rusher who could get that, I think, in that double-digit sack total within that defense within the next 2 years. And then Jaysean Barham, watch him come to Maryland, then go to Michigan. Versatility off ball and outside. Dallas did a very good job. LT Overton, another versatile player late, even added a little offense with Anthony Smith late and Drew Shelton, the offensive tackle. But the defensive side of the ball was the focus. 5 of 7 the picks on that side where they needed it. Give them a lot of credit. They needed help at that spot, and they got it.
Addressing a clear need, Damian. How does this draft help the Cowboys in this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the main focus on the defensive side of the football, new defensive coordinator Christian Parker, who comes from the Philadelphia Eagles. He needed guys to kind of fit the scheme that he wants to run in Dallas. And the one thing that you saw was you got a new leader in the back end in Caleb Downs, a guy that you can depend on the back end. And then you saw multiple pass rushers. And in this league, you need closers. We know the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to score points. They're going to be one of the most explosive offenses in the league. But you got to have closers on the defensive side, and you saw the Cowboys really address that with a couple pass rushers. I think ultimately what it's going to come down here, Matt, is the Dallas Cowboys going to have to be able to stop the run on defense. You have to earn the right to rush the passer. So guys like Quentin Williams and those guys, they got to be able to stop the run and allow those guys that they drafted this weekend to really get after the quarterback.
Look, at the end of the day, if you're a team that you knew you had a need going in and you addressed that, hopefully that pans out on the field in the upcoming season, even if they are rookies. Mel, that was the good. These were the teams that didn't have a great draft in your eyes. You gave C grades to the Vikings, 49ers, and Jags. So which of these teams not surprised you most with their picks, but you kind of looked at them like, well, what are you doing?
Well, we thought the Vikings, Matt and Damien, would target secondary help. Safety, put it off until the 3rd round. Cornerback, put that off until the 5th round with Demings and Stephen F. Austin. They took in the 1st round at 18, Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida. He looks the part, boy. He's got physical and athletic ability to be an elite player. But he comes off a foot injury, lack of big-time consistent productivity at both Louisville and Florida. Will he maximize that potential in the NFL? We'll see. He's going to need to at pick 18. They would have traded down. They didn't. They stuck at 18, passed on Thiedemann, the outstanding safety to Oregon. He ended up going to the Bears later in round 1, divisional rival there. So it's up to Caleb Banks. He's got all the talent in the world. Stay healthy. I say maximize that ability. It's up to the defensive line coach at Minnesota. Get the most out of this kid.
Dominant at the Senior Bowl. He turned a lot of heads. That 2024 tape was good, but now we'll see what he can do. As you said, it's on the coaching there now in Minnesota. Damien, in your mind, which team had the most disappointing draft?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. I really felt like the 49ers needed to address the offensive line early. You know, that's a unit that needed some infusion of talent. They waited until, I believe, the 5th round to really get after the offensive line. In the 3rd round, they drafted Kalen Black, the running back out of Indiana, who wasn't even invited to the combine. He brings nothing in the receiving game, and this is a guy that might be the backup to Christian McCaffrey. So, you know, when you look at the 49ers and what they did in the draft, a lot of their picks just made you scratch their head. And there's been questions in the Bay Area about, you know, John Lynch and some of his past drafts. So we're going to see how this all works out.
Again, it seems to work out on the field. They're always in contention, not only in their division, but the NFC. But at the end of the day, look, the draft picks sometimes have to match the on-field product. Damian, great stuff. Thank you. Mel, while I have you, the Brendan Sorsby news breaking just moments ago. I know you well enough to know you've already started breaking down next year's quarterback class. Adam Schefter quote tweeted saying that Sorsby, a potential first-round pick. What do you see at Sorsby going into next year's draft, especially with this news today?
Well, Texas Tech, you thought about, hey, the talent's going to be there. Sorsby leaving Cincinnati, where he played pretty well, right? He has the talent. He has the arm, the talent you want. He would have been one of the potential top 5, top 6 quarterbacks going in to next year. You think about where we are with Arch Manning, needs to make some improvement in terms of accuracy. Dante Moore at Oregon, you know, he's going to be way up there. Darian Mensah going from Tulane to Miami, coming off a great spring. He's going to be way up there. You got Sam Levitt going to LSU, you know, from Arizona State. And Brendan Sorsby was going to be one of those guys in that mix behind Dante Moore and Arch Manning, maybe trying to get into that 3rd spot overall, entering the year maybe as the 6th highest rated quarterback. So they say the arm talent's there. It's undeniable. Now, obviously, this issue to deal with.
Yeah, and as we heard Pete Thamel say a moment ago, eligibility now. There's almost a chance no chance that he's eligible for the upcoming season. So now what happens? We'll have to wait and see. Mel Kiper, you'll be there for us. Mel, great stuff. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks,
Matt. The Monday mood for the Jets.
Jay, how about ecstatic? If you're the Jets, man, you've added a bunch of firepower to this team. You know, obviously starting out with David Bailey, the outstanding pass rusher, with Texas Tech. He's going to bring, you know, bring pressure to the opposing quarterback. Then you go out there at number 16, you get Kenyon Sadiq, the outstanding tight end from Oregon that brings a lot of speed. Omar Cooper from Indiana, D'Angelo Pond. The list goes on and on for the New York Jets.
It's a good list. This is a very good list for sure. All right, what's the Monday mood for the Chiefs?
Yeah, how about we're sending the message here? The Chiefs' first 4 picks all on the defensive side of the football, obviously highlighted by their first-round pick in Mansour Delane. This is a Chiefs team that over the past few years, their defense has really been leading them, closing out games, but they took a dip last year. They had guys move on in free agency, and so what you saw from the Chiefs, they were able to send a message like, we're going to replenish that side of the ball and really get after teams again.
All right, last one. What's the Monday mood for the Philadelphia Eagles?
How about Rosie? And that's Howie Roseman, the GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. You go out there and get Mekhi Lemon, one of the most accomplished wide receivers, the Biletnikoff winner, to go in that wide receiving core. And they also traded for Jonathan Grenard, the outstanding pass rusher from the Minnesota Vikings. And so when you look at the body of work with Philadelphia, it was just another outstanding draft by the Philadelphia Eagles.
And you get Lemon when he's on the phone with the Steelers. That was okay. Nice move there. Nice move. Damian Woody. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.